Okay, everybody, I wanted to shoot another stretch video, so I asked Amber and Drew to stick around, and we are going to do what we call our wall set. So Amber's going to get set up, and then you can as well. You're going to want to put your feet up against the wall. Now, we're out here using one of our tables. You want to take your shoes off because Lord knows if someone in the house does not like shoe marks on their white walls, they're going to be a little ticked. Now, Amber's going to reach over and grab her band, and just doing this stretch might be hard for you. Some of you, Drew's been working on this for a while, but when he originally started, his butt was about 6 inches away from the wall because he was challenged by this. So your goal is, if you can't get into this position, just get as close to it as you can. Now, I'm going to start with Drew. He's going to take the back of his heel and put it on his toes, and he's just going to rest it there. And he's going to feel that that stretch changed a lot. Amber's more flexible than Drew, so she's going to throw that band over one of her feet, and she is going to pull that towards her. So for her, she's going to get more of a stretch by having to do it this way. Now, obviously, we can tell that Amber has a lot more flexibility from years of whatever sport she played or just naturally being gifted that way. And Drew, he's working really hard, and he's showed so many gains in the past 6 or 8 weeks since he started doing this. I'm going to ask them both to switch sides because I want this to be a follow-along video. So, Drew is breathing heavily because he's saying, wow, I really feel that, which is exactly what a lot of you feel. And many of you may not even need to be doing this. Many of you might just keep your legs on the wall. Because Amber's so flexible, Amber, would you put your foot back on the wall for me? Let go of the band and just take your hands and push them onto the top of your kneecaps towards the wall. Some of you might just need to do that, and all of a sudden you're going to go, wow, 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 that is a hugely different stretch, and we get that. So I want to move this into a different stretch. So they're both going to slide their legs down so that the soles of their feet do a butterfly stretch. Now, Amber is going to be able to pull her heels a lot closer to her spine, whereas Drew is a lot taller than Amber on this, and it's a different in flexibilities. Now, why is flexibility so important? Well, there's a couple reasons. The more flexible you are, the stronger you'll be able to come. Science tells us that if you are not that flexible, eventually you're going to shorten up those muscles to the point where they won't be very tight anymore. Now, this is a great stretch. I would imagine Drew's feeling this more than Amber, and maybe you at home aren't feeling this that much, so we're going to have to change that up a little bit. Now, Drew, you just get into that figure 4 stretch however you have to. I'm going to use Amber through this. She is going to put her legs back up in the air. She's going to scooch her tush away from the wall about 6 to 8 inches. Good. Now, Drew is doing the same thing as Amber, but he has to move a little further away. Now, you're going to put your feet flat on the wall, and you're going to do like a little mini glute bridge, because Amber's going to lift her butt up. She's going to take her ankle. She's going to put it on top of her knee. She's going to push her knee away from her body, and then she's going to sit back down on the floor. Now, if you could hear, Drew is breathing quite heavy, and he's having a hard time getting his tailbone back to the floor. In this particular instance, that's okay. It's okay if you're not getting your tailbone back to the floor. If Amber was doing this on her own, she'd probably move her butt closer to the wall, but she's just being a good participant for you. And Drew is just praying that we end this stretch fairly soon. Best way to get out of it, put your foot back on the wall, do a little mini glute bridge, lift your tush up, switch legs, and drop back down into it. Good, so as you can see, Drew is pushing on his knee, which is making it a little bit more challenging, but we had a good workout today, so he's actually kind of happy with me that I'm doing this stretch routine afterwards. If I wanted to make him work a little harder, which I'm not going to make him do right now, I would make his foot go down a little bit lower. That would lift his tush up, and then he would have to let gravity pull down, which is the point of why we're doing this video. You should be able to let gravity relax your hips and pull your tailbone down to the floor. Huge, important part of this. All right, I'm going to let them take a break for a second while I tell you how we're going to get into that quad hip flexor stretch. They're going to go right ahead and get their mats and do it. Amber is going to show it in front because it's a little bit easier for her to get into. So what you do is you get in, you kneel on a pad. You're definitely going to want to kneel on a pad for this one. And she is going to bring one foot up, and then she's going to bring the other foot up into a lunge. Now, Drew's going to have to move out towards me a lot more than Amber will, because that stretch, as she comes up into top position, is going to be, and Amber, I'm going to have you put your hands on your knees. Her stretch is going to be right here from her hip bone all the way down to her kneecap. Now, as you can see, Amber has almost her shin flush up against the wall. Drew is having a hard time even keeping his foot up there, so he keeps having to move his foot out till he's in the right position.
Doing it great.
He's doing awesome. Again, he's been working on this for a while. If Drew was having trouble with balance, I'd have a chair close by, or I would have him hold a pole, like Amber is doing her imaginary pole dance here. There we go, perfect. And that's how, if you really struggle with balance, that's something you want to pay attention to. I'm gonna have them both switch into their position. Now watch how they switch into it, because it's easier to do it certain ways than others. Because if you don't have a lot of mobility, this is hard. The other way you could do this is, instead of putting your foot up on a wall, you could put it up on a stool or a box or a chair. But it has to be something solid. Notice that her toe is pointed towards the sky, and it's super important that you work within your ranges here, because you can cramp up a little bit. And sometimes cramping's okay, sometimes it's not. This is one of those times I'd like you to kind of really pay attention to that. I'm going to ask them to hold this stretch for another 10 seconds. They're standing nice and tall, and then we're going to go into a wall calf stretch. All right, let's everybody up. Now, we don't obviously have a full wall here, but we can give you the same concept. They are going to put their hands up against the wall as if it was a full wall, and they're going to drop one foot back, okay? And as they do, their goal is to drop their heel down as low as possible. Now, some of you might not be able to get as far back as these two numbskulls, because this is one of the areas they don't struggle with, and they look really good. But some of you might have to stand a lot taller than this. Switch sides.
See them as good as Amber
On this
something.
one, yes. So Drew needs some level of positive reinforcement right now, or he's going to cry. I told him I wasn't going to pick on him during this video, but he started it. So, good. And as you drop into that heel, we're trying to continue to do this to make this a follow-along tutorial. So keep that heel pressed into the ground, whether you're taller or whether you're down low like so. So what we did is we showed a great hamstring stretch, a great hip flexor quad stretch, we showed a great glute stretch, and we're ending with a great calf stretch. So if you need to add a little variety into your stretching routines, this is a great way to do it. Have a great day.